the second day. So when they say youths are not doing enough, I can tell you how many young people, it's not that I heard, I know of. We strategically placed young people to follow these ballot boxes when they were deployed. We slept in our cars overnight to make sure that these things were not tampered with. I can start calling examples of young people that go to these IDP camps. Government says no, everything has gone down. IDPs should go back. Government has not made sure that they are secured there. There are people in my village right now that can't go back home because Fulani people are occupying their homes and they will be killed. So when you say young people are not doing enough, it hurts me because I know a lot of young people that go out of their way. It's just because they don't have social platforms or they don't feel like going out and broadcasting what they do. Look, naming the problems is endless, but let's start talking about solutions. The government says young people cannot meet. Young people should not go out for protest for whatever reason, COVID or whatever. I don't want to go into the legality. During the constitutional review, we said, okay, if you don't want us to come out, and I think it's something the town hall should also carry, make public petitions online viable. In the US and other countries, once petitions reach 1,000 to 10,000 signatures, it is discussed in parliament. I started a petition on the plateau about the killing. We have over 95,000 signatures online right now, and nothing is done. So young people keep doing things. We need the situation to change. Like, you start talking about how the engagement or government has been doing enough. I tell somebody, if you have a governor with a conscience, look at the cars he drives, and you know that there are people in these states that sleep hungry while your cars fall. So there are so many things to talk about.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Now, I want to take numbers so that I won't be accused of jumping people. So let me see the hands here. So I've got 1, 2. Is your hand up? So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only your number. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 on this side. Okay, 12 on that side.
Go ahead, quickly.
Okay, let me also give these people numbers so that we can be flowing. This is 1, 2, only 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 11. So I'll take 1 here, number 2 here, number 2 here, number 3, so that we can just, and please, you have 40 seconds to make an intervention, please, so that we can respect you and respect the time, so that we won't be here to the end of the day. Number 1.
Good morning, the moderator and the panels. My name is Monde Audu. I'm from the Creek. I have this observation with this democracy, and most especially our Nigerian democracy. Our citizenry or our citizens are so docile, as the Prof will say, or Stephen Aluko will say, that we don't engage the process. Why? Because we are so docile in this country that even if we transform the process, and sometimes we found out there's itches or tumults, we will tend to withdraw from it. Well, I take, for example, the hashtag SAS NSAS. We tried the process because the government intervened or sent talks, as we claim, but now the process does die off naturally. We intend to discourage or to get discouraged at the process in which we think that the government is involved. That is why we always get discouraged and we don't see the process through. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 1 here.
Thank you very much, the moderator and the panelists and our convener. It is really exciting to listen to so many aspects. That shows that we're really interested and we're beginning to see, what we can contribute as citizens in the 2023 election. Very key issues that we've talked about: participation. Participation should be even at the grassroots. primary elections, citizens must begin to mobilize themselves together, because if we are together, we'll be able to, hold our leaders more accountable. Most times people go, individually or in small groups to go and bargain for what they want. And then because, these, politicians use them to achieve what they want, they don't represent the entire community. But if as a community we come together and say, anybody that is coming to campaign for us, we will list the things. Okay, our primary health care clinic is not functional. In the night before we go to the tertiary institution, is there anything, they can put in place to at least give us the first intervention? That means the primary health care clinics, need to be equipped. And this is possible. And if we begin to hold our leaders, accountable to all these things, we'll be able to achieve it. Instead of collecting Maggi, salt, wrappers, can all of us in the community agree that, no, this money for all these things, go and, equip our clinics so that we will have, every ward has a functional primary health care clinic that we can easily walk into and achieve that. And that will be beneficial to the entire community rather than just one individual or a group of people or, just people that have set up themselves to achieve their own personal gain. So participation at the grassroots, very, very important. And that is the foundation. If we're able to, get the power that is, our own and be able to participate and engage and also achieve what we want. Thank you very much.
Please, can we give her a round of applause? If we hear what she said, I think it's important if we can begin to aggregate. Where's number 2 here?
The discussion has been quite impressive. I want to give regard to the convener of this program and also the moderator. What is imperative or what is necessary is for our country to work. Abraham, Chidi, Douglas. What is important is for our country to work, and I have always had these feelings. Now, if we can make political office holders to make political offices financially unattractive, first of all, because I believe that the reason why most people go into politics is because of the financial gain. And it becomes a kind of a trade. Somebody wants to invest a lot of money before he gets into office, and when he gets into the office, he does everything to get back his investment. So it becomes a lot of investment. Now, restructuring, let me just illustrate it this way. Now, if you are a baker, you bake bread, and then the pan with which you bake the bread has a dent. You may have all the required ingredients, but all the bread you bake with that pan will have a dent. That is the citizen. Until you change the pan, then you begin to produce breads that have no dent. So I believe that why we're having this problem is because the structure we have on ground produced the politicians. So there's need to change the structure so we can have patriotic politicians. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, can members of the panelists intervene when they see something that don't agree? Okay, we'll take 5 first. Okay. Who's the next person? Okay.
Okay. Inward Joseph is the name. And we are talking about citizens engagement, participation, and power. In normalcy, if you are not in a party and you don't know the manifesto of the party, how do you get engaged in that party? How do you participate in everything in that party? Gone are the days of option A4, when enlightenment had to go all around. You know about the manifesto of the party that you are going inside. You know about how to participate in it and how to hold people responsible. In those days, if you stand for election in your own ward, somebody from a different ward can get the election and you will not get. That is engagement and participation. Youths, if we want to participate and be heard, then we have to put ourselves in the different parties. Let them do everything with us from the beginning to the end. If we are not there, how will we call them back? You cannot. And if we are there, we have to remove interest of money. When they come for campaign and what we are looking for is money, 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 we cannot hold them responsible. And we cannot call them to give us power. Please and please, if we must engage ourselves, participate, and have power to call them back, then we have to forget about issue of money, forget about other issues. Engage ourselves in the different political parties, get involved in everything, hands off. Kudi, kwade, mabudi wahala. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Who's number 3 here? 4.
My name is Benjamin Dixon Auta. I think we are in a crossroad. Where we are now, we have the solution to the problem. If we allow the politicians to dictate to us, we'll never get there. That is the truth. So our organizers sought a meeting like this. I want to make an appeal to the organizers, sir. Because if we truly want citizens to engage themselves, citizens to participate, and also citizens to know their power, we must go down to the grassroots and begin to educate the citizens to know what they should know. Let them know that this is what they can do as far as participating in governance is concerned. But if we don't do that, we'll just be doing our own while the politicians will be doing their own. We can effect the change that we want by taking the steps of creating the awareness that we're talking about, and then allowing the politicians to do their own while we know our rights. By so doing, we'll change the system. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, sir. I actually got a message after this invitation went out that the gentleman, 2 people actually, because of this, came from different states and all that. One from Lere local government area actually decided to come all the way and got in here. And of course, somebody left Abuja yesterday specifically for this program. So I don't know if we could just crave your indulgence to give an opportunity to them so that they can make their interventions. All right. We see. Okay.
Good day to you all. My name is Comrade Adam Hussein. I'm from Lere local government area of Kaduna State. It is my pleasure to express my deepest appreciation of this special day for us. Since yesterday I had the program on Unity FM, so since the time that I heard the news, I realized that the news will be better to us. So my own observation in this program is I want to call up my neighbor and colleagues youth. So I want to give them advice. The first advice I will give them is to involve themselves in politics. And personally, if they want to involve themselves in politics, they will involve in different sides. Because in Nigeria now, we have different youth jobless. So if we don't involve ourselves in politics, how can we find out that we find ourselves in different authority, different office? So if we involve ourselves in politics, is that give us the opportunity to to have a job. My second advice is that to always pray for our leaders. Assuming that you are a husband in a house, you are really a different wives, and you have a different children. You will face different aspects and different challenges. So one day you will become a president or a governor. So how can you handle that place? Please pray for our leaders. That's all. Thank you very much for giving me time.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for the intervention. Where's Mr. Gabriel? Okay. This gentleman came all the way from Abuja specifically for this. And
good morning all. Mr. Moderator, stand by the protocol. My name is Gabriel Ikesi. Advocacy for electoral awareness, mass mobilization, and good governance. When I got the invitation on the leadership aspirants aspiring to be leaders in this country, I decided to come all the way from Abuja. Place some point down here. So permit me to just read briefly. Oh, 3 minutes, 3 minutes.
No, you can't do 5 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Yeah, I'm talking of the leadership. People aspiring to be leaders, you know, what really makes authentic leader? We are looking at the political parties running up to the 2023 election. If you look at the governance so far, our leaders has not been authentic. Authenticity is about integrity. Doing what you said you are going to do. People make promises and nobody fulfill. Even if they do, it is only a little. So I'm talking on authenticity of leaders and integrity. And it's a matter of trust. If you don't do what you say you're going to do, definitely the country will remain as it is. But then we must intervene to change. Change begins from all of us. And we must participate, like the gentleman just spoke the other time. We must participate and engage the process. We all have voting power and right. It's our right. Many people abstain from participating in the process. That's why we are producing these leaders we are having. If we don't intervene, definitely we are still going to come on Facebook, come on Twitter, and be making noise. Majority of us, the elite, don't engage the process. They only come to the social media and make noise. If we sit at home and don't engage the process, definitely we'll keep talking. I think I will stop here now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Are we going back to the panel or we'll continue from here?
Have we done the 5?
Have we done to number 5 here? So the next is 4? Okay, can we just take you just briefly here? I'll just take 3. Is it 4 now? 3, 4, 5. And then I'll do 4 and 5 here. So 3, 4, 5. Where's number 3?
Good morning, all. My name is Ben Akbera. Hashtag 2023 is commendable. Few questions. Are we willing to be the first recruits? Because I guess this is going to be a process and not an event. So those of us here, are we willing to be the first recruits before we even talk about recruiting prospective politicians? 2, if we are going to be a community, will we pay the price for evolving shared values? Because sometimes we're fragmented. The politicians out there are strategic, they are coordinated, they are resilient. Are we willing to match them as a people with an identity? And then are we willing to go down to empower the people that are downtrodden, who don't even know what accountability is? Can we help them draw out social contracts so that if politicians come to talk, they sign dotted lines? If we have to record, there has to be a kind of covenanted agreement on the basis of which we can record. So my question is, are we willing to walk the talk beyond this meeting?
Thank you very much for that intervention, sir.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me stand on the existing protocol. My name is Joel from Jos here. Ever since I've been hearing people talking, I think he's the first person that is actually asking a question. And I think enough of all these grammars. I think we need reality. And the reason why we are here is to find a solution. Now, I want to ask, because I know that's the essence of the panelists, for them to enlighten us. Like the moderator said, I think I'm guilty of that. Like the Constitution. It was when I was in school, and it was even because of one of the courses.
They said about Electoral Act amendment. If there's anything my older political colleagues fear, is that amendment. So for me, the next conversation after this meeting should be citizens' engagement and the National Assembly members to update us on how far we have gone with the Electoral Act amendment. Because if we move on to engage other politicians in our next meeting, we'll be jumping the gun. So that is just my contribution. Let the next meeting be with the National Assembly member to tell us how far they've gone with the amendment. And if they don't come, we're going to move to the National Assembly.
Thank you very much. Sorry. I hear I jumped you. Okay.
My name is Donny Choji. I cited for this very conversation on 2023. We have parties in Nigeria. And the parties, we are not talking of the parties, but we are talking of the leadership. We have never get a good leadership in this country. Only that they came on board and then They did whatever they will do and then go back to their seat without showing any respect to this country. Secondly, we have seen that we have never get the train that will lead us, most especially when youth are trying to contest for any seat. They will increase the registration for the youth not to have the chance to register to be as a leader. So I don't know why a youth is a sin or what. I don't know.
Number 5. 4.
See number 5 here.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Okay, permit me to observe the protocol. Okay, my own is issue of engagement we are talking about. You can never have a power under a platform except under a political party. First of all, we need to engage. Okay, how many of us have registered into a political party as a membership? So when you register into a membership of a political party, from there and then the delegate will begin to emerge. Then the delegate will now determine who is going to become a governor, National Assembly House, or even a chairman, even a councillorship. But in the situation whereby we don't engage as a member of the political party, how are you going to have a credible candidate at the end of the day? So therefore, I'm now advising, I'm advising us that we should go back and register to any platform. In fact, thank my brother, before he was in the APC, but in 2020, he now defected to Green Party to contest for Senator of the Central Plateau Zone. So I give you kudos for that. It's a very good, welcome development. So I'm urging us to go and register in different political parties, be it ABGA, Labour, so that we can now have the platform to produce a credible people that will represent us in 2023.
Thank you very much. My name is Sadiq Umar. I want to comment the 2023 conversation and the conveners and the panelists. They have educated us and enlightened us more about the issue of how to bring on a good leader. But when we check the process of bringing these leaders is what we have to emphasize on. What is the process? That is the Electoral Act now. In a situation whereby you go to a polling unit, they will tell you that they must use a card reader to verify your voter's card. And later on, they will now say that the card reader is not responding. And now your candidate that you wanted to vote have failed because of what? Because you are not able to what? To vote because of the card reader have not verified. And when your candidate go to court, they will now tell him card reader is not under the constitution. That's to say the system has failed. So we are calling on the government to check on the system, because no matter how the youth have engaged, no matter how everybody have emphasized on bringing the leader, when it comes to the final system, that's where we have an issue because of the corrupt way of bringing the leader.
Right.
Thank you very
much. It's still hashtag 2023 conversations, and my panel is still awake and agile. And at my very extreme left, you have Salt, who has been, and then you have Chika Skunle, you have Barrister Bawa, you have Professor Nnamdi Aduba, and then Steve Aluko. We listened to your interventions, and they are quite robust and engaging. We're excited about the quality of interventions that we're having in this meeting. What is coming from your intervention is that there is no one cap that fits it all in terms of engagement. There are some that have to belong to a political party, and others may not necessarily belong to a political party. Your quality of your citizenship is not diminished by whether you belong to a political party or not. And we cannot allow the business of running those political parties for only the politicians. So whether you are a member of a political party or not, you must show interest in what is happening even within those political parties. So this bifocal engagement with how citizens can engage, we need to clear it so that we understand that whether we are members of a political party or not, that we have a right, because political parties are public institutions to recruit leaders. Now, abuse, we can't, because of an abuse, that something is abused, then we run away from it. That people abuse drugs does not mean that those drugs don't work when you take them the way they should be taken. So, first and foremost, before you go into the political party, what is your own vision? What are you going in there to do? There is a guy called Julius Malema in South Africa. He was the youth leader of the African National Congress. So what did he go to do there? He went to learn the trade. After a while, Malema broke away from the ANC and formed the EFF. And EFF has been a thorn in the flesh of the African National Congress. So we need young people who are determined. We should not make an industry of complaining. There is a thriving industry in Nigeria, and that industry is called Complaining Nigeria Industry Limited. There is another industry that is very strong. Is the industry called Excuses Nigeria PLC. Oh, we cannot do this because this has happened. We can't do this because this has happened. I gave an example to start from one small place. It is very easy to insult Buhari. You know why? Because Buhari is far away. He's nepotic, he's tribalistic. When you see tribalism in your own place, you can't shake her. You keep quiet. We are talking about local governance. Boreholes are dug in your community. The only day water is drank from that borehole is the day of the commissioning. And you live in that community. Do you need to be mobilized? Power, does somebody need to be mobilized to ask why this borehole is not bringing water? You don't need any mobilization. But because you are afraid.
And it's your right.
And it's your the money to do the borehole is your right. It came from your taxes. It came from your natural resources. It came from facts. I need to put this out so that this excuses, lamentation thing, we take it away. Democracy is not a microwave thing where you put in something and you get results immediately. People are accusing us. They say, we've been talking and talking. For how long have we talked? We started talking in 1999. Before 1999, if you talk, you're a disgruntled element. There are people who are sitting in this hall who, because of challenging ordinary university authority, they lost their studentship. They are sitting in this hall now. So we have not talked enough. Democracy is about talking. It's about asking questions, and the questions does not end. Yeah? I'm putting this so that I'm putting this so that we can realize that the work before us is very strong. The governor, the chairman of your local government, the House of Rep member, they control resources. The one in the House of Representatives and your senator, have you ever asked yourself, this quarterly money that they collect, how much is it? What is it used for?
This is my wife.
He said he cannot come home because when he comes home, you tell him about marriage, you tell him about burial, you tell him about school fees, you tell him about snake bite for your children.
Yes.
That is the excuse he gives. He will not start. Power talked about constituency office. They don't have. Have you ever met them in the church, in marriage ceremony, in burial, and say, oh, distinguish, wait, where is your constituency office? You will not go to prison for asking that question. That is participation. Participation is not only when you talk on radio or when you talk on these events. It is about beer parlor engagement. When you sit in the beer parlor, what are you discussing? That is mobilization, because people think you must bring sweet, you must bring water, you must hire a hall. Mobilization is in your Christian fellowship. What are you discussing there? What is the engagement? Because we have outsourced this to other people. We are always thinking, and that is why what Chika said is very important. 90% of the time, we are always talking about other people. Anytime we want to talk about ourselves, we remove the mirror. Once the mirror is facing us, we start pushing it aside. We called a meeting to have conversation on 2023, and we said the agenda is what kind of leaders does Plateau need in 2023. For the last and best part of this conversation, we have talked about people who are not here. And the question you ask, how do I engage? How do I become knowledgeable? How do I get, for you to start a process, you must be knowledgeable about that thing you want to start. And it is easy. Somebody made a comment there. I saw knowledge. I saw knowledge. He can transmit that knowledge within his own sphere of environment. He's asking us, are we available to be recruited? This recruiting, is it transactional, like Power will say?
Okay.
Is it one in which you come and say you want to be paid? To distribute ordinary leaflets. I have gone to cities to mobilize people, to organize. Journalists are asking me to give them money. Okay. When I came back, I
appreciate, guys. Thank you so much.
It doesn't make sense. So we can use the next 15 minutes to face the mirror on ourselves.
Oh, you don't know how? Huh?
If we are going to have quality conversation, let's face the mirror and in engaging that in the things that we see in that mirror. If we don't like it, we can start to correct it. I'm going to start with Steve Aluko, who I know is many years of engagement in this process. What I want to talk about is, can we now draw a citizens' charter of demand? What are those things we can present to the people who will run office in 2023? Because the next conversation will be about them. This meeting cannot end without that charter. What are we taking out from this meeting as something we can use to engage them?
I think first and foremost, for us to get it right and get it clear, three scripture rightly comes to my mind when questions were raised, what to be done. Acts chapter 8 verses 9 and 11, and Galatians chapter 3 verse 1. It takes one person to make a difference. It takes a John Baptist's head for the right thing to be said to the authority as of his time. It takes a Christ to change the whole situation. And when we come to this level, it will take every one of us to take a standard. I will break the bewitchment over my head. Because if you read the book of Acts chapter 8 very well, a whole city was bewitched. And most of the slogan that these politicians and parties use on us is to bewitch us. So number one standpoint that we must take as part of our charters of demand is that we must resolve that I, as individual, as specific as we are, that we will break that bewitchment. That is whatsoever they have been using to bewitch our local government, our community, our state and nation, we must take that ominous stand that we will break that bewitchment. What do we expect as part of our charter? Competence must be number one. We must not be ready to negotiate out competence in whatever disguise. Secondly, we must also insist that the current National Assembly, House of Rep and Senate, they made an amendment about 2 weeks ago on independent candidacy. We must insist that that is the electoral amendment that we want. So that when they conscript the political party, we are having alternative platform for people that belongs to the people to win the election. Number three is that we must, as part of our demands, says that on ourselves, that we will no longer sell ourselves. Because you can't dress yourself in rag and expect yourself to be rightly proud. So we must also take it as part of our charter of demand that we will not sell ourselves to second enslavement. Attend to the media angle. I appreciate all the media houses that have supported this project. As part of the charters of demand out of this program is that from next week, we want to see a follow-up to this program. They can on their own organize, but they must have a public interest message on why people should not sell themselves before 23 and after 23. If the media houses that are here are able to do that, it will go a long way to reinforce whatsoever demands that will be coming out of here, and it will also help to also empower the people to prepare themselves before 2023 and beyond 2023?
Well, mine actually is first, what is the education policy? For me, I have listened to former governor of Anambra State. That's my state of origin. I admire him a lot. Obi. When they talked about cost of governance, what did he say? What was his argument? When you reduce the cost of governance, you will now have money to do some other things. When somebody is coming, education is key. Why is education key? It is key because both infrastructure and every other thing is based on human development. How do you develop the human being? Is by getting him educated. Even madam that talked about health, if you know the studies that have been carried out, ordinary learning to wash your hand saves lots. Just learn how to wash your hands. I wrote a book on children's rights. And what did I say in that book? Challenges. Challenges. What are those things that inhibit us? And we say, why will you marry a girl out very early? Because you don't have money to train her. If you had money, she will be a very useful member. So the key things first. Key. Education. So when somebody comes, what are you going to do to primary education? If you go to there are some schools in this Jos, I don't want to start mentioning them. If you peep into them, sad. You see, the greatest problem we have now, youth unemployment. But the youth that is not skilled is a problem not only to the society, but to himself. So education is very important. So anybody who comes out, and that's why I like the Southwest. The Southwest of Nigeria have almost made free education their birthright. You know, when you talk people, I know my colleague here, one of my students is talking about constitution. We must amend the constitution. Listen, I have been teaching constitutional law for 30 years. What is the constitution? Constitution is a guide. It's just a guide. The attitude. We don't, if we must be honest with ourselves, as he said, we are not people who are known to obey laws. We don't obey laws. We are in a multi-ethnic society. That is why we have chapter on federal character. Is it being followed? Answer is no. There is a provision on education. Primary, secondary, they are so essential. Health, they are so essential. Are they following it? Answer is no. Let me round up a little bit now. One thing that is also important is we must also look at reward system. Somebody was mentioning sometimes what pushes people into politics sometimes is this perquisites of office. It is mouth-watering. That's why in the university system, if you see how they are fighting for the VC-ship, when I entered the university system, VC was just a little bit above. 500,000, when it was 300,000, that was everybody was earning. VC just had some little allowance. Suddenly, criminal Obasanjo went and made it 1.5 million. So you now see a professor, you now see your colleague earning 3 times your salary. And he's now telling you, Nnamdi, come and help me talk to the students during riot. Chineke God, you are taking 1.5 million. I am taking 500. Now it's time to engage the students. You are calling me to come and talk to them. Hey, you are on your own. You have to be on. So we must check the purposes of office. Can we cut it down so that you can get people who sacrifice in developed countries? Do you know in United Kingdom, some people, some politicians cannot afford to live in London. They come, but you have good services. Do you know that Nigeria and Kenya are the two countries that their politicians earn the highest in the whole world? So if we cut down on practices of office, then we will not have enough money. But let me make this point before I round up. Example again with Cuba. Cuba is a very tiny country. But because Cuba has invested so much in health and education, even during this pandemic, Cuba is exporting skilled nurses and doctors to third world countries, to developed countries, that tiny Cuba. So it's a question of vision, the priorities that your leaders have. If you go there, 70%, their salaries are not so much. It's a society where 1% is controlling more than 70%. Is not a healthy society, and it cannot be healthy. Thank you.
Well, quickly, I wish I have much time, but let me say this. I have studied this, and this is the agenda that we're going to set. I'm part of the initiator of this platform. We'll continue to do this. Check all over the world. There are 4 qualities of leaders. It's scriptural. Exodus 18:21. I implore you, when you go back home, look at that scripture. One of the quality of a leader is what is a able man, ability, capacity, capability, competence. We must have leaders that have this. Does he have the competence to be a leader? We will screen the person. 2, it's a men that fear God. When you fear God, you can't steal people's money. He said men of truth. Men of truth. Yes is no. Is yes. No is no. Men of truth. Another one, it says men that hate dishonest gain. They hate covetousness. I can't take what does not belong to me. These are the things, as we talk about this 2023, we will look at all the leaders' competence. These 4 criteria will be the modus operandi. Let me quickly talk about this. He talked about, a brother talked about, how do we hold leaders accountable? Simple. As it is now, the first thing we need to look at is that we must place consistent demand on government to give us a credible, transparent electoral framework that will operate in this country. I spoke when we talk about the Senate tribunal. Most of the government will say politicians don't accept that they lost election. I say it's not true. When the system, when the process is credible and transparent, they will accept it. Another issue is that you must screen the leaders. You start holding them accountable now. By screening them, the person has not done anything and he wants to be governor, you hold him accountable and say, no, you can't get there. You put the guy already on side. Forget it. Another issue is that you must know that political leadership is akin to social contract. When you enter into it, it's like a covenant. All the parties must perform their obligations, and failure to which there must be sanction. Somebody wants to be a senator, tell him that, come, we're going to try for 1 year. If you don't do well, we'll recall you. Someone will go for us. You are making the guy know that it's a social contract. Another issue, you have the power of recall. Recall the person. Let him come back. Another way to hold them accountable is, for instance, let me tell you, if we can remove sentiment, issue of poverty, forget about hunger, remove fear, even this landlord will hold him accountable. What will happen when there was juicing strike? We are, as lawyers, we are the first in Nigeria that we started protest in conjunction. I led the protest. We went to government house, we blocked the government house. We said, you must talk to us. Tell me what will happen for 1 week if everybody would be on street and hold everything. They said, these are the things that must happen. They must be accountable. So these are issues, but because of sentiment, parochial interest, the man is from Shandam, he's my man. After all, the person, the Birom has gone, so me, I can't do that. These are issues. But if we must be truthful and objective, we can hold these people accountable. Let me rest my case now.
In closing, I'll still emphasize on the issue of inclusion. When we're advocating for women and youth to be on the decision-making table, we are not saying that women are here to fight the men, and we're not saying that the young people are fighting the old people. What we're saying is, let the women themselves pick up the courage. I'm glad you said some women were invited. I don't know what their reason were for not turning up. And I almost declined. That was why in my opening statement, I said when I was invited, I started asking myself questions, is it going to be a different conversation? In fact, what even made me push out some of my engagements to be here is the citizens' participation. Because if you engage the political process, honestly, if you want to tell yourself the truth, you know there's a problem with the Nigerian followership class. They are the ones that make unimportant demands from politicians. My uncle here ran for Senate. I can tell you that one of the reasons why he didn't win is because of the money factor. If people don't demand for money from you, will you have the need to give them the money? And then if you're coming out to say, this is my post, I'm running for this office, trying to communicate with the people are the ones to tell you, you don't have the money, how can you run for such a big office? And then the same citizens will now tell you that votes don't count. If votes don't count, will politicians be buying the votes? Votes do count. Citizens are the ones that are laid back. Even on elections day, some people don't turn up. How can you register and not turn up? Why will the corrupt politicians not use that to rig elections? Because the polling unit will read that there are 500 registered voters, but then 200 people turn up. So what happened to the 300? That is where the rigging comes in. And then we're back to inclusion of women. Honestly, as a gender activist, I know that women have their own issues. That is why sometimes we speak more to the women than we speak to the men. Because if you're on the field, it is the women that will tell you, okay, they are insulting you, don't spoil our name, calm down. And that is because the women over time have not been told that they have a space in leadership. And these things are traditional and cultural beliefs. I don't completely blame the women, because you can't grow up in a space that doesn't empower you, and then you grow up overnight to know everything. So the women we're advocating, please come out. If you are invited to speak, please show up. The media houses are here. Please always invite us. We'll be here to speak for the women and for the youth and for everybody. And lastly, please, let us productively engage the process. The process is what brings up the leaders. You cannot fault the leaders when the process is faulty. The process needs to be fixed, and the people must fix the process. In fact, the politicians are taking advantage of the loopholes in the process to offer the kind of leadership that we have. And in order to have the right kind of leadership, we need to fix the process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the moderator and the wonderful audience. Sincerely, when questions were asked, the first, how can people participate? I'll take on that. And the truth about it is that when we talk about a conversation as a process, and then the major class of people is the citizens, we must first ask ourselves, how am I engaging? When a brother talked about the issue of youths doing this and that, the window has been opened. How many of us know that there's going to be an election at the local government level? What are we doing to bring the values of the people who are talking from the panel about quality leaders, about competence, capability, about the courage? Are you still going to go back to the old game and expect a different result? It starts here. When I checked the guidelines, I laughed. When the chairperson of the INEC, the PLASEC, SIEC, came on board to tell people about the election that was going to happen, with the news persons, he didn't say how much people were going to pay. How many of you know how much councillors are going to pay in hundreds of thousands? What are you doing to mobilize funds? When someone talked about funding, what is the concept of crowdfunding? I give you a simple example. That people are saying talk, talk, talk. We did crowdfunding. People didn't even contribute. 100 naira by 1 million Nigerians is 100 million. You own the process. Ownership is key. How many of us own the process? How do you engage with intra-party politics? Someone said, open up the vista. Once you have multiple parties, you've given people options. What options are we thinking of as it relates to local government? Once we allow the local governments from your village, majority of the citizens are those at the grassroots. So if we allow these people to determine who goes in, you don't have a system. Already the rigging process has started. And I call it the vicious circle of rigging. And then someone talked about voting, she also mentioned it starts with you. Once you don't mandate protect, you register. CVR is ongoing. What are you doing to go and register? What are you doing to know that electronic cards are being used? Today now with the Constitution review, most people are focused on the wrong things. Rigging starts with card reader and you're not using it. Once you don't use it and you're stopped from voting, it becomes a problem. INEC as it stands proliferates parties. How literate are Nigerians? It is our responsibility as citizens to go down and get people literate about the voting pattern and who they should stand for and what they should vote for. The other part that was talked was the issue of how can we be held accountable. Nigerians talk a lot about accountability. Transparency means that I'm telling you figures. I'm transparent. But am I accountable to the projects that I asked you? So there's no consultation. Legislators don't do, they go and they're executing projects. Is that their job? Their first job is lawmaking. Their second is oversight functions. Their third is consultation with the people, bottom up in the pyramid of decision making. How many of you have challenged? And I'm glad that the moderator said that. How many of us have challenged them? When you challenge them, the vistas that come to play is because you're not giving appointment. Who feeds you? Nobody. God. Who gives you what you're eating? Nobody. God. You wear clothes. Are you not covered in your nakedness? When someone gives you a wrapper and it is my face that is on the wrapper, have I not disgraced you? How many of them have given people wrappers that are Hollandis that their wives wear? How many have given wrappers that are super wax that their wives and girlfriends wear? How many of them have given you Shadda, Galila that their wives that they wear? And the truth about it is that I believe that if we must set an agenda, the agenda should start with us about the question, how are we engaging the process? And I am so happy that this starts with Plateau. And I must commend you, sir. I must commend Omale and the panelists here. Possibly, maybe it's just Chikas and myself that are from Plateau. But if it starts here, it means that the seed for active participation starts with us. Again, when you talk about trickling it down, when you're doing online sales, you look for people to buy your goods so that you get profit. Please, this is more than a good. This is a service, and the service is to God, the service is to humanity. These two sides, if we can all not take this message down, it will not stop at just talking. And I'm glad that he asked the question, and fundamentally, are we ready to be the change makers? Two things quickly before I close up. The first is fear. We were not created with the spirit of fear. What takes the place of fear? Action. When people talk about actionable plans, what is the action you're involving in this to take away the place of that fear? The second is just simply put, what are you leaving as a legacy, not to our generation, but to your kids, to the ones unborn, and to a country that God has given us? How do we intend to make this country not to cliffhang and not to go down the drain? Because 2023, the red flags are up. Let us all join hands and make sure that the engagement, the participation, and the power belongs to us. Are you a benefactor of the electoral process, or you're a beneficiary? When beneficiaries turn themselves to benefactors, electors turn themselves to beneficiaries, you've lost it. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, moderator, sir, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sam. You still here? It's 12. It's about noon now. We committed ourselves to close this event at noon, but incidentally, we have 5 other people that still raise their hands. 10. That's what.
I'm willing to stay, but
it's just going to be practically impossible to take 10 people. We're going to have to reduce it to 3 per those sections.
And just a minute, I've just been informed that Rhythm FM has been with us all this while. So they're about to go off now.
Oh, JFM?
No, Rhythm FM.
Okay.
Rhythm FM has been with us all this while. So thank you very much, listeners of Rhythm FM, who have been with us all the way from now in the last, up to this moment. Thank you so much. As you go off, we thank you, and let's continue the conversations. Thank you, listeners on that station. Thank you so much.
So I want to thank everyone for please indulging us. It's for your own time as well. We have kept you here for 3 hours. And 3 hours of your time is qualitative enough to engage. So please, I want to beg you, if at the end of the day, among the 10 people, you don't make it, there will be hashtag 2023 conversation very, very soon. I can guarantee you that. So please, Sam, do the honors of getting these 6 people.
Thank you very much.
We are not taking back from the panel again. We are not coming back to the panel again. Also, when you make your comments, we'll note them and then you can engage the panelists.
I wanted to say something.
Okay, this side, the behind are having breakfast already.
Let me just say one thing.
So, sir? Wait. I stopped at 5. The last 5 now. Okay, can I quickly take 2? Let me take 6 and 7. Make it very short, so that we can. 6 and 7. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tiso. I'm here to observe in the aspect of youth. I don't want to talk about what has happened. The mistake has been done. We're here to correct, to see how God will help us to correct ourselves from the doom we have find ourselves in. What I would like to say is that the young men, they are the one being used anytime when election is coming up. Some of them being used to a point that after that, if they refuse to dance to their tune, some of them, they are being threatened to be killed. Even some of them, they are being killed. So I'm here to say that if possible, someone asked a question that, what about Obama can fade? And the lady answered that Obama can fade, but the US government cannot fade. So if here if we can have a government that cannot fade, even if individuals fade us, but we in this hall, we can have a government that cannot fade, then I think we can make a better government 2023.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My name is Emmanuel Azi. I want to really thank the convener, the panelists, the moderator, the media houses for this wonderful conversation forum. I have so many questions, but in the course of the asking of questions and the panelists responding, you've answered so many of the questions. But I'm going to go this way. Nigeria, we are very good planners. And if you want an organization to succeed, you have to have a good planning and control in place. But one thing I observe in Nigeria is that we are good planners. We can plan, and we can plan very well. Our constitution, I don't think there's so much problem with the constitution as the prof would say. Is the mentality on looking at that conversation. That's part of the planning. But the worst thing that we have in this country is the control. When we plan, now we are having a conversation. Citizen engagement, citizen participation, citizen power. How are we planning on how to have a control? Right from 1991, from my adult or understanding time, that we started this democracy. We have so many leaders that came on board and we say, okay, we'll wait. After 4 years, we get another one. The same process of choosing the wrong one will continue, and they'll get another one. We say, okay, we'll wait. In fact, just 2 days ago, one old man beside me was saying, I thought this, he was talking about one of the leaders. I will not mention name. He said, I thought this 2023 is far, but it's like the 2023 is almost here. Thank God. At least we'll have rest of mind. When after 2023, what about if we make a mistake again and another person that we want it? So are we going to wait for another 4 years? So now I want to talk about control. Can we now talk about, can we have a way of control? For the legislators will have a way of recalling them. What about the executives? Are we going to wait for another 4 years for the bad ills to happen? So let's set an agenda on the control. Forget about the planning are wonderful. What about the control? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. 6 and 7 here. 6.
Hello. Good afternoon. I'm Ishaq Aiwa Imam. I would like to stand on the existing protocol as well as congratulate the convener of this citizens engagement for a job well done. More grace to his labor. I think we're all guilty. When I say we, I mean the citizens are guilty of the kind of leaders we have in these countries. If we we don't own the process, we'll continue recycling this set of leaders that are unpatriotic. I want to appeal to each and every one of us that when we are voting, we should stop voting on ethnic, religious, or regional pattern. When you know somebody is not qualified to lead you, simply because it's from your ethnic group, or it's from your region, or better still, it's from your state, or it's from your religion, you vote or nominate or whatever, or you play a vital role to ensure such person get to that leadership position. Of course, that person will fail. Then I think we should challenge our political leaders when they fail on their campaign promises. In 2014, in one of campaign spot of Governor Lalong, I happened to be a victim of Josman Market fire incident about 19 and a half years ago. I lost 3 shops. In one of the campaign spots, I asked him what is his plan for rebuilding of Josman Market. He promised he will rebuild Josman Market, and that was one of the reasons why I even mobilized support for him. I even voted for him simply because he promised. Among his promise was rebuilding of Josman Market. Being a victim of Josman Market, I was passionate to see that main market being rebuilt. Unfortunately, after 4 years, that main market was not rebuilt. In FRC and a live program that Lalong was there sometime in January last year, I called him and I challenged him. 4 years ago, you did promise you rebuild main market. What happened? In a live program, he promised that yes, he has been to South Africa, he has seen some projects. I don't know if some of us were there when we. So we should challenge these people if they fail. Sometimes back. All right, sir. Due to one time. All right.
Sorry, thank you very much. We have some questions quickly. I'll just read it from social media because we've not taken them along all the while. This is Victoria Okori. Says, kudos to the convener and panelists for such engaging points. I have 2 questions. Democracy is about power to the people. It is obvious our security systems are overwhelmed. Please, what is the plan to empower the citizens with regards to securing lives and property? Number 2, with the advent of the PVC in the electoral process, we see increasing cases of disenfranchisement because of insecurities. What plan and strategy can be put in place to ensure the most vulnerable and displaced persons actually get to vote come 2023? Super questions. We wish we had times to deal with this. Let's go to the next. This is Otuboju Akpake. Is zoning still a 21st century tool and solution to equitable recruitment of leaders in a democratic society? Number 2, how can citizens oppose agendas that seek to promote ethnicity above common good? Fantastic, lovely questions. Let's go. Samuel Oyeni says, interesting conversation. How do we youth practically relate our grievances without resorting to violent approaches? Let's move on. Godwin Ngbe Clement. What can be done to stop government from imposing unelected people into office? Like previous local government elections where while we were still in our polling points voting, the government was already announcing the winners. Godwin, serious question. Let's move on. Okay, so number 7, we have 3 number 7s, so I'll go to number 8. Where's number 8? Okay. They will resolve and then we'll know what to do. Number 8 here.
Thank you. Good morning all. My name is Babatunde Tobola. I'm a lawyer and a spoken word poet. I ordinarily would not have wanted to speak, but I want to address the young man who said he spoke on behalf of youth organizations that wanted to submit a memo and things. You see, this is the tactic that is used. One of the things that the panel has said is the fact that they are not going to give this thing to you, to us. You are going to have to take it by force. If you don't take it as a battle, or at least if you don't take it as a game, we're expecting a game this evening, right? If you don't take it as a game and know how to play the game, you are going to lose. What do they do in football? When you have done what you want to do, maybe you move back and you see how the opponent is playing. What they did at the Constitution Amendment Review, was exactly what they did in football. When they did what they wanted to do the first day, they moved back and they waited to see what you were going to do. And see what happened. Your grievance at the Constitution hearing, which was not addressed, you now brought it to this place. And at the end of the day, what happens is that we keep on fighting amongst ourselves. Personally, I have come to the view Nigeria is a militarized place. Everybody operates as if we are in a military regime. What happens in a military regime? Everybody does what they want. The army does whatever they want. That's what Nigerians have. That's what Nigerians now feel. What you ought to do is understand that there are laws and procedures in place for everything. The Constitution guarantees the right under Section 39. Everybody is entitled to the freedom of expression and to receive and impart ideas and information without interruption, without interference. So what it means is that your constitutional right was actually breached there. Have you met a lawyer to guide you? Have you tried to mobilize yourself? So the summary of what I'm saying is we need to mobilize so that we know how to strategize and get this thing done.
The last person here.
So just to appreciate Samson for convening this. My name is Oscar. I'm a youth pastor. I don't know how many of us are aware of the fact that the Plateau State government, after the NSAS, launched something he called the open governance. And how many of us have been able to engage that? And just to also ask, I don't know, Samson, is these conversations, are we collating these conversations? Because I think that we need to move beyond just conversations. Something Ezenwa said, move beyond lamentation to implementation, where we need to collate these thoughts and practically have steps. And for me, it's beyond 2023. However, yes, it's important that we begin to set our eyes on 2023. But then, how do we track, and I'm particularly talking about young people, how do we, beyond 2023, track each agenda that our political parties would set, track and follow up, and ensure that there's a way we are engaging, not just putting people into offices, but we're engaging them, and there's a point where they're very responsive to us. Because for me, that is where the problem is. That after we engage the political process, we put people in governance, that's all. It ends there. But how do we go into technical sessions? And I see three things here. First, the town hall meeting. Secondly, we need to go into technical sessions where we particularly have people working in clusters. Whether, deploying our capacities in this place, the media guys, the civil society, the NGOs, going into technical sessions and coming out with clear strategies. And then we come out with toolkits. So there are three tripods here: the town hall meeting, the technical sessions, and toolkits to engage governance. And then lastly, I am looking at the fact that our political space have been locked up. How do we unlock the political space? If I want to campaign, I don't have the money to buy the ticket. Yes, we can do crowdfunding, but if our political system remains transactional, we're going nowhere. So how do we unlock the political space such that the ground is fair? If there is no fair playing ground for people to contest, believe me, we will continue to go round that circle where even if we crowdfund, put people there, when they get in there, because they know that the political space is not fair in terms of how you compete with others, whoever has the highest bidder wins. So how do we unlock the political space?
It's a youth pastor, if you didn't hear, he's a youth pastor who is engaged in the process, and we're excited about that. How many more can we take? Let's stop. Eh?
We can't go on and on.
Okay, so we can stop at this point. Yes. Sorry, I'd like to apologize. Please, okay, let me just plead with him for just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Davidson Malison. I just want to make just a comment to appreciate the convener of this important conversation.
So thank you, Sam. Please, I want to beg all of you who wanted to speak and you are not able to speak, please, I want to apologize and say that the hashtag 2023 conversation continues. The panelists are here. If there are engagements you want to have with them, you can have that offline when we are done. It is only fair to allow the panelists to close, just short closing things from the conversations that have come. Please don't make it very long so that I don't struggle the microphone. I don't struggle the microphone with you. Salt, can you start?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Mine should be straightforward. What are the questions on your mind? About the mandate protection, about how we mobilize ourselves from the roots right up, about how we also make sure that the institutions that are aiding and abetting our disenfranchisement are also straightened out as citizens of this country.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Chikas.
In closing, leadership is serious business. Let's engage the process.
Thank you very much.
The destiny of Plateau State rests and is dependent on our active citizenship participation.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, mine will be a little longer. Actually, not too much. No, I will run it. Don't mind. I was just joking. Please, I just want to commend people from Kogi State because I observed an election there, and I tell you, that election, there was so much firing of gunshots all over the place. I thought the election was never going to take place. And the next day, what did I see? A lot of people queued up for election. And that's what I call resilience. When we talk about democracy, it's not you do something, you run away, you vanish. So I think we must be willing to know that there are no quick answers. You try, you fail, you try again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Steve.
Consistent activism, consistent engagement, consistent mobilization, and confrontation.
Thank you very much. I've been joined on this wonderful panel by my brother and friend, the chairman of NBA, Plateau State, Barrister Bauer. Please put your hands together for him. And I like Santos Ayuba Lara Tanshap Salt. I just like that. My sister and friend, Chikas Kumble, she's an activist and a development worker. She actually came in from Abuja to join this panel. I think that sacrifice is worth commending. And then Professor Nnamdi Aduba, Professor of Law.
Yeah.
He has put in 40 years of teaching law. So if he says anything about constitution, you should take it seriously. My brother, my friend, my comrade, Steve Aluko, the one we call Maradona. He's of the CLO. Please put your hands together for him. And for you, the wonderful panel, we are just the fish. You are the ocean. If you didn't supply us energy, we will have dried up where we are right now. I want to thank all of you who made the sacrifice to join this hashtag 2023 conversation. Like I said, it's a continuing one. The business of building a strong country is not a walk in the park. It's not a tea party. We all have to be involved. I want to thank you so specially. Let me hand over to the convener, Sam Omale, to give us the closing remarks. Thank you very much, my panel.
We must say thank you to the moderator also. Did he do better? Did you do so well? Please let's give him a round of applause, please.
Let's keep clapping for them until they take their seat, please. These are men of honor. Some came all the way from Ibadan because of this. Some came from Abuja. He will not want me to say this, but let me tell you how. You can take your seat, please. I'll just take 2 minutes. My big brother, my elder brother, But I have to say, my uncle, Ezinwa Nwabu, he would have made more money this weekend than maybe in the last 1 month. I want to understand. He would have made more money this weekend. But he decided to sacrifice all of that because he believed in this process. He believed that he can be in plateau. And I know that if Mr. Ezinwa holds this kind of town hall, I'm sure that the bread in the family will be more softer. But he has sacrificed that. Thank you very much, sir, and I appreciate you. This town hall would not have held. He kept calling me. And when the call started coming, because we had so many projects we wanted to do, and it never comes to light. I discussed with him, let's do this, eventually what's happening? He goes now. And as at Thursday last week, this conversation would have held. But the last call I got from him tells me, look, you got to go. And so again, sir, I want to thank you. Prof is here. It's my own thank you now. So just so I can tell you how important it is. I mean, me and Prof even have issues. But Prof, forgive me. I'll come and I'll bring cow so that I can pay my sins. Thank you very much, Prof. Prof, I don't know how to describe it, but Prof, I appreciate you. But Sabah was in Badon. I kept calling because of this had to come. Thank you, sir. My brother Steve, our own relationship is beyond what you people will know. And they are part of the engine room that makes these kind of things come to light. And I don't want to call you Maradona, sir, because I'm not fit to call you Maradona. But Uncle Steve, thank you very much for coming. And also let me tell you, he brought this projector from his place at 11:30 p.m. yesterday, Mr. Santos Larab. This is his. At 11 p.m. he was in this hall. So those are the kind of people that encourages those of us coming behind, that if they're able to make such a kind of sacrifice, not because of themselves, because I'm not paying them any dime. 1 night I'm not giving anybody. For them to engage this, then it's awesome. And there are a lot of you here who are here. If I begin to go through each of your names, I will not be able to go through. I may be causing some other problems. I have my members of the press conference on radio who are here. They're great brothers and all that. Oh, how can I'm sorry, man. Chika's story, as a broadcaster. And when you start networking, there's a way you can hold something that you think is already slipping out. Now, her name kept just repeating. Just kept repeating. So I had to make my investigations. And I knew where to punch the button. And at first, she was not going to come. Literally, she was not going to come. And they kept telling me, and I use this as, let me challenge for young people, young women, and even women generally, that you can actually begin to, your work will speak for you. Right? You don't need to do too many things. When I needed women 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the list, I contacted them. And it came out very negative. And anytime I asked, they said, no, Chicas. I'm like, Chicas, I've never met her. To be frank with you. I said, Chicas. Who is this Chicas of a person? I need to meet her. And eventually she's here today. I mean, we'll engage more with you. And we will support you for doing this and for making this sacrifice. We appreciate you. I think he also said that because we are into this, none of the radio station took a dime from us. And I'm in the business, and I know that no radio station will give you their prime time on a Saturday morning for 2 hours for free. The least they will collect from you will be 500K. And so they've decided to give us that for free. And it's awesome. I mean, I can't explain it. I can even tell that some of the managers, the owners of those radio stations were even compelling me to be on their radio stations to talk about this. I've never seen anything like that. So it's here. Yes, please clap for them. I'm saying this so that we can understand the power of where we are going. It's as if we're still online, and I need to say this. I'd like to say special thank you to Alhaji Ibrahim Nakande, owner and chief executive officer of Unity FM. Day before yesterday, he told me, he says, so whatever you, just go there and talk to the general manager. Anything you want, they will give you, was the instruction he left. And he kept marking up with that. I'd like to especially also, and of course, Andrew is here, Andrew Bubim. They hosted me yesterday on Unity 7 alongside Bello Lukman. They are great friends, great partners. Thank you very much. Hajia Larry Baba. We're back in the days imperative. She's now the GM of Unity FM. I mean, such a lovely woman. Thank you very much. Clinton Garba is the Chief Executive Officer of JFM. And I like to say this, that our on-air transmission today would have been impossible if not because of he donated. Where's Eugene? Yeah. So they brought their transmitters here, and so we're able to have a free transmission. So Clinton Garba, if you're listening, I'd like to thank you for such a wonderful, for being a brother. And I mean, he gave me free slots on the radio to talk. It was everywhere. They produced a jingle for this program on their own. I want to tell you how far we are going with this to appreciate what these guys have done. Thank you very much, Gabriel, for coming, and I appreciate you. Now, let me tell you about rhythm before I go to the other one. This matter was escalated beyond Jos and went to the headquarters of Silverbird Communications in Lagos. And the moment the chief operating officer of the entire Silverbird Communications got hold of it, I had my own citizen almost 8 points demand that I put forward to them, to my organization. And my COO, Bola Salako, and I want to say this on record. He said, take the news, take everything is approved, is approved. And I'd like to thank CEO Bola Salako on record. Thank you very much, sir. I want to thank my business manager here. He was here this morning to sort out issues on my behalf. I didn't come here when he came here. Mr. Tony Hianacho, I don't know what I've done without your support. For 12 years, sir, I worked with this man, and I dare say he's one of the best bosses you can work with. I'm not saying this for anything and all that. He laughs with you, he does his work as a boss, but he's a friend. And I defer to him, sir. He's not here, I don't know if he's listening, but please, colleagues, go back and tell him that this is what Samson Omale said to him, that he's the best boss, and we thank him for what he's done. KTFM, manned by Talk Morgan, they call him Blunt. Blunt literally took this and said, look, Sam, we're going to do this. I never saw Blunt face to face. I want to understand that everything I did with him was on a call, was on text message. He said, Samson, you're getting 2 hours. Even when there were forces against some certain things, this morning he blocked them. And said, look, this program, nothing will interrupt it. And as a matter of fact, there were a lot of interruptions ahead of this program this morning. I got a lot for this morning for other programs to come on. But these whole stations I'm talking about block those moments so that us as citizens will have the opportunity to have this. Thank you very much, Talk Morgan of KTFM. Val of Reality Radio, is he here? Where's Val? Val Adesi is a mobilizer, is a bulldozer. And he can accost anything. Thank you very much, Val. I appreciate you. Now let me get into my constituency. I have my friends from AIT, NTA. I was with the ADN yesterday, and of course, Peter Ochubo. NTA is still here. My friends from Spotlight TV, and of course, great journalists from NAN. Where's Blessing? My sister, Blessing of the Lord. Has she gone? Okay, I have Andrew Ajija. Where's Radio Nigeria? Okay, all of these guys were here, and if you listen in the next few days, they are going to take intervention. Once again, I want to say thank you very much for all of this. Please, I needed to do this so that you can appreciate well. And then I want to thank NMA. I mean, I've worked very seriously with NMA in the last couple of years, with their several leadership and all that. And I'd like to thank you for your support. Thank you so much. You encouraged me. And please tell your president and the rest of the ESCO that from the conveners and our friends, we thank you. MBA, thank you very much. NLC Platis, I didn't know why they were not here, but he kept sending me messages. The comrade, Eugene Manjin, I said, look, Samson, I'm with you. Go ahead. So you can imagine if professional bodies like this have coalesced together and we begin to make our demand. I said, look, this cannot work. It will not. And of course, we have the media. These guys won't take us for granted. And with you that are here with the thoughts you've taken, I can assure you, we're online, we're everywhere. It won't just go, it will make a mark. There are some young men who are here. I can't go on to talk about them, but they went beyond their brief, and that gives me hope. They were supposed to supply 2 cameras, they brought 3 cameras. There are some young men here, and we've had, if you've monitored our Facebook live stream, it's been clean, sweet, and literally just uninterrupted. Because we have people who also believe in it. Led by Joseph, Imade, Sonny Itodo. Thank you guys and your team. I appreciate you guys. Thank you to Felix. I worked with him several times. We're here dealing with all the troubles we had in the last 2 days. Thank you very much. I have my colleague Elizabeth, several of them were part. And a lot of these things you see, we got a lot on rebates because they just believe that this will happen. We didn't collect any money from any politician to do this, right? And that's what I want to encourage, that anybody can do this, just as he said. We can do this, and there will be another conversation in a few months from here. You saw this whole, a little bit scanty. He had to keep telling, no, because we had to streamline the number of people to come in here, some way, somehow. So we couldn't get enough. People had to keep them away. Even though this place, we weren't able to contain the crowd. So all those of you listening online, we appreciate you. Let's continue the conversation beyond here. And I can assure you that this is the first. There are more coming. We are going to get the politicians themselves. We'll put them here and we'll interrogate them. No. We're going to do that. With your encouragement, though. If you don't support us, we won't be able to do that. So, I heard there are about 40 people who want to be governors in Plateau State now. 40. I'm still counting. Uncle Steve said they were still counting. 40. Do you appreciate that? 40. So, we are going to put the 40 of them with a coalition of those radio stations. We are going to interrogate them. And you'll be left, we will drop a charter that, look, based on our understanding of what the next governor should be, this is what we think he should have. We will put it. If he doesn't qualify, we have a right to punish that party and vote them out. Same also with the senators, House of Rep members. We are committed that, look, we'll continue to interrogate these people, where they are coming from, and all of that. And of course, they will not, there's no more space to lie low anymore. So this conversation will continue, and we need your support. If for all you've seen here today, you still want to support this process to continue, why not? Let's galvanize together and let's support this process. I'd like to thank you for staying up to this time. Sorry for those of you who also couldn't say anything. We appreciate you. If I leave you out, too many things in this head now. I am sorry. Please. I have my friends here. I can't call your name and all that. Okay. Now, somebody is telling me that the breakfast we took, the woman in charge has been there. So I'd like to say very thank you to my wife, who she will not come here because she will not want this kind of exposure. But I thank her because if she didn't agree, honestly, we won't be here. So I want to thank you for your love and for making sure that you still love that we get a greater country, better country, citizen-centered country. Thank you very much. My dad is here, surprisingly. My son and I saw that he's here. Yeah, that's my dad. Yeah. I'm honored. I'm blessed. When I called him this, I have not told him anything about this. I have not spoken to him, but he heard it. So this morning I said, let me not be disrespectful and be a very stupid son. Let me call. Now when I called, he said he wasn't feeling too fine, so he can't really move. Then I turned and I saw him here. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for calling. It encouraged us to say that we're doing something, tangible. So I want to say thank you for everybody. And we'll close at this point. Thank you, Bauer, once again. Thank you so much. And this is where the conversations will end. Have a great day. Please, we have breakfast. If you're not taking breakfast, some snacks rather, and some tea to just ginger the body. Please, let's go over and have something to eat. Lizzie, thank you. Amechi, everybody. Milton, thank you very much. And all those in the kitchen, my colleagues in the newsroom, thank you all for everything.
I knew you were going to come. So even first, I'm not joking. I knew. Well done.
Holy Spirit, carry me, oh. Holy Spirit, carry me.